Can we go into the group? Make sure we're live.
Yeah, it takes a while sometimes. It's probably live right now. Hello. Here we are. Yeah, it takes a while sometimes.
Live.
Hello. Okay, I'm just going to go. Here we are. Good morning. Yes, we're on. Good morning or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I'm Naomi Suzanne from Naomi's Home Health, and this is the beautiful Lana F. Jackson. Now, I wanted to introduce you to Lana because she's had an integral part of my healing journey in respects with my mindset. Because, you know, when you're not well, your mindset isn't actually really working. And I do have normally a very positive mindset, and I'm very, you know, ambitious and driven and strong. But when you're feeling sick, it just isn't really there. And as much as I knew I was going to heal, I needed some steps to take, and I needed someone to say, do this, do this, do this. And I turned to Lana because I knew she would get me there. So I'll let Lana explain what she actually does, and then I'll tell you how she got me there, and we'll just chat about it a little bit. So go for it, Lana.
Well, firstly, I want to say thank you for inviting me to come into your space that I've watched you grow from nothing to where it is now. I'm so incredibly excited and happy for you because I know the energy that you've put in and how you have risen above it anyway. And I think that you need to just honor that in yourself, that you are a walking, living, breathing example of somebody who just never gives up. And I freaking love that about you. But now, talk about me. Okay. Okay, so I work from home and I have had a home-based business for 15 years. I have walked with my feet in both camps actually for many years. I am a corporate background, OH&S human resource manager from many years ago. And then I became a primary school teacher, and then moved into workplace training, and then moved into small business. So all along the way, gathering, you know, knowledge and skills and wisdom and qualifications and all of that. The other side of the camp that I've walked in is that I'm actually a psychic medium and an astrologer, and I've been into astrology since I was 10 years old. So I have, for the last 15 years, been combining all of my knowledge and my wisdom and my skills from all the experiences that I have had throughout my life and in business. And I work from home, which, given in the current climate right now, has been a really big benefit. But what it has helped me to understand most of all is mindset, because the mindset that we work with in every part of our lives is what influences the success or failure that we experience. So just need to premise you too, Naomi, I'm waiting for a delivery, which working from home, this happens, where you get on an interview and you're all excited to be there and then something's going to interrupt. So you just learn to roll with the punches, because that's where mindset goes.
How we roll.
So what I have primarily focused on in my business and in working with you is really walking my walk and talking my talk. And I think that's a really big part of it. My knowledge of astrology has absolutely helped many, many people that I've worked with. And we've done a lot with you now, haven't we? Where we've really dived into what is your energetic blueprint. And so that's my major focus now. I work with business owners to understand their own energetic blueprint, as well as their business's energetic blueprint. And we work in business together as well. So that's been an absolute asset in terms of how I operate, but then how I help people to do what they do, whether I'm working in my business or I'm simply having a conversation. And I think that knowledge is how we get to overcome the challenges that we have. I see vulnerability as actually a strength, and it's something that has actually spurred me throughout my business, is having the ability to be vulnerable and open to learning where I need to understand something about myself in a better way. And people, including myself, associate vulnerability with a form of weakness. And what I've come to learn is it's actually a great strength. And I think that when you're working with health issues, and I know for me, I've had my own health issues, which you have supported me with. Um, when you get health issues, it can, in many ways, make you a lot more vulnerable to a lot more lessons because the body is speaking to you.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know this group is a thyroid and hormone support group, and they are the two main functions within us that really influence our mindset in many ways. Because if they're not functioning right, well, particularly with us as women, we go through cycles, and, you know, we have 4 seasons in a month, every month. So the thyroid influencing that certainly influences our mindset. And I've had my own little thyroid issues over the years, and now I'm in menopause. So it's all of that, you know. So it's such an honor to be here. Thank you for sharing me with your beautiful people that you have in this group.
You're welcome. So yeah, all of that was, you know, why I turned to you when I was really struggling. It was, I couldn't put anything in place in steps, and I very much lived in my masculine energy back then. And it was all about don't feel anything, don't think about feeling anything, don't. And I was I need to do it now and fix it now and lose weight now and and you helped me bring it back. And you know, you're like, the one thing really quote that sticks in my mind that you said to me was, I had got better when we had this conversation, and you had said to me, stop looking at how far you have to go and look at how far you have come.
Absolutely.
And I keep that in my mind all the time, and I tell that to people all the time, because you do get focused on the end result. And if you're not where you want to be, and that focus is so, you know, you're laser focused on that, you're not focusing on the energy of where you've come is forgotten about. So it becomes a stress to be looking at the end point.
Yeah.
And you changed that for me. And it was more live in the now, which is what you always say. What are you doing now? What are you focusing on now? Don't worry about what it's going to look like down the track. Just know that you'll get there by doing what you need to do now.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So that was where you just gave me balance. And that was my key word for a long time with you, was balance, feminine, masculine, but not just like in all levels of my life, was balancing my emotions. Learning to feel emotions was a big thing too, acknowledging them. And it's really helped me recently with what I was, you know, personally going through. Was I'm like, what is this? It's an emotion. Oh, crap. I'm feeling that now.
Yeah, look, I think it is one of the lessons that I too have had to learn, because I think, you know, like attracts like, and there's, you know, the more we have gotten to know each other over the years, the more we see how much we're alike, you know. And I'm a Leo, and in astrology, that's a very masculine energy. We're in the time of Leo. In fact, we're in the last couple of days of Leo. And so this is a really, really strong energy. And I know for me, I have had to do that dance of masculine and feminine throughout my entire life as well, because my moon sign is actually in Scorpio, which is feminine. So when you look at an astrology chart, you can see where the masculine and feminine principles sit in a person. And so I think that what the best thing that I've come to understand is the difference between force and flow. And so when you're only focused on the end result, you really go into that force and that masculine energy where all you want to do is get to the finish line. But the thing is, the more you go into that energy and ignore that feminine of, but how do I get there? When you go into that force, you move the goalpost for yourself. And I was doing that repeatedly myself in terms of, you know, how I live, but also how I operated in my business as well. And what I've learned is that when we come back to purpose, when we come back to what it is that we are wanting or have in our heart's desire to achieve, because I've also learned the difference between I need the result, I want the result, and I desire the result. When you come into a place of desire, you're sitting in that space of receiving what you desire. When you need it, you're desperate for it. And you and I have both been in that. I need a result because I hate how I am right now.
I see that with people in this group too, in some of the comments, and it's like, I want you, I get you, don't worry.
Totally. And then when you're in that want, you want it because you don't think you're going to get it. But when you sit in a place of desire, I desire this result. So therefore I'm willing to receive the result. And so all the steps just go into flow. And you stop resisting the thing that you're actually trying to call in, which is that saying of what you resist persists. So if you keep resisting it, the challenges persist. And so challenges can be overcome, and that's where mindset comes in. If we're to go back to, mindset mastery, is that your mindset is what will influence whether you are in force, which is masculine, or whether you are in flow, which is feminine. And the aim is with yin and yang, they work together. So it's not about having one more dominant than the other. It's about understanding when they play a role. And that's what I have found has been the greatest victory, if you will, in terms of my own journey and attracting the things that I want in my life, because I sit in a space of desire when I identify that it is a want. And when I see that it's a want, I actually sit in that space of, am I really ready to receive it? Because quite often we've got this goal that we want to achieve, whether it's our health or whether it's, something that we want to bring into our physical reality. But are we really ready to receive it? What will we do if I won $2 million tomorrow? I know exactly what I'm going to do with it, but am I going to do that in the first 5 minutes? No, because I really am sitting in that space of shit, I actually got it. Which is where how far have you come?
Yeah. Well, I actually did a post the other day about receiving, and what I've noticed with a lot of people in the group is they're givers. And and I said, I bet you half of you guys give to your family, your friends, and you don't say no. And you're not even in that place of receiving, even if it's a compliment or whatever. Someone says, and I used to do it, like Mum would say to me, do you need some help? Where you sick? No. What? No. Like, what do I need help for?
This.
And I'm like dying, like, yes, I want some help. But to say yes, please is very hard, because if you're a strong, independent woman, and which is also placed on us now, you can have everything, you can do everything, you can have kids, you can have the job that you want, and you don't take the time for yourself to get what you want because you're so focused on being that strong woman. And what it taught me was, when I am sick, when I am under the weather, I'm having a bad day, nourish. Go and lay down. You don't have to keep going. The washing up doesn't have to be done.
No.
That's what you got kids for anyway. But all of those things, just, you don't have to be the one to do everything. You don't have to be the one to have it all in that moment. You will get there,
Yeah, I think one of the things that was a really good realization for me is the children helping around the house is teaching them life skills.
100%.
And I think that we're conditioned to be givers as well. In most of Western society, women are really taught to put themselves last. Your husband comes first, or your partner comes first, your kids come first, everybody comes first before you. But the thing is, when we cycle through our month, we have the 4 seasons of our cycle. And in astrology, we work with the 4 seasons of a month as well. And so what I noticed is that you can't pour from an empty cup. And so what happens is, the more you give to other people, the more empty your cup becomes. And then what happens is you eventually have nothing to give. And so then you start pulling in on your reserves, which is what your body has. And that's when you start to see the body break down, because the body has more intelligence than our minds. Our minds only know what we've learnt or been conditioned to understand throughout our lives. And so when we are born, we're already being conditioned on a subconscious level on how we think, how we speak, how we do things. You know, our immediate teachers are generally our parents or carers. And then we move into our family, so to speak, our extended family. Then we go to school and we have teachers and friends. Then we move into the workforce, and then we have a boss and colleagues. And then if you're in business with a network of people and clients. So it's a gradual progression of conditioning. But in the meantime, we get to experience life as well. And 99% of us will experience life based on our conditioning before we can make our own judgment on what we actually desire to have from that conditioning. So it's still, it becomes quite complex, but mindset is the obvious in how our body is behaving, because our body is telling us, yes, this is working, or no, this is not. And our mindset will react to what is working and go, yay! And what is not, our mindset will revert back to our conditioning on what we might have done wrong.
Yeah.
And it's not actually anything we've done wrong. It's just something we need to learn about to change.
Yeah. And I noticed, a lot that exact thing through my healing. And when I was first really unwell, I kept on saying, geez, I'm unwell. And I kept telling people I'm really sick. And oh my God, I'm putting on weight. And those are the words that kept coming out of my mouth all the time, which is going through your mind. And if you're going to keep saying that, then that's what you're going to be. So, if I talk about being sick now, I always refer to past tense, and I say I'm so well now, or I talk about, I'm improving or whatever it is. I talk about that instead of saying, or people say to me, oh, you've got a thyroid condition. No, I used to.
Yes.
I don't acknowledge that it's in me anymore, because I wanted it gone, and I made sure it went. And I do notice that with people in the group that, the whole, I even say to people, have you tried lowering your stress, or, the way you talk? And I think sometimes you think that you have, but you really sort of haven't. And it should be a big part of your healing, not worrying about the focus on the medication, which I see so much of. How is this medication going to help me? Help medication. What, and when you should be focusing on, how can I get off this shit?
Here's the other thing too. Words have meaning, okay? And people, I would love, if nothing else, for anyone watching this video or watching the replay to take away from this is the language that you use is the power you infuse. And the thing is that, when we think about it, and this is my teacher coming out, words have meaning, okay? If you look at the English language or any language, it's just a group of symbols that have been brought together with a sound and a visual that create a meaning for us. And so how we're conditioned to see meaning is how we actually develop our intention. And intention then creates energy, and everything around you will respond to that. So whatever the energy is that you're putting out is the energy you are attracting. And so exactly that, Naomi, like I have said, oh my God, I'm putting on weight. And all of a sudden I'm 30 kilos heavier, and then I start going into, hang on, I got to lose weight. Well, if you lose weight, you're going to find it. So now I focus on shedding weight.
I remember you telling me that.
Weight, I think it's also really important too to look at the ingredients of the food you're putting into your body. You and I just had conversations about this recently, where I was drinking all this almond milk, and all of a sudden my cholesterol's gone up. I felt shit. And my doctor said to me, well, what are you eating? Because you don't eat a lot. So what is it that is helping you? And then I go away with a group of colleagues, and one of them says to me, oh, did you know that almond milk is full of oils and emulsifiers and all of that? And I went, no, I didn't. Went off that, and all of a sudden I've shed weight. So I think it's about really knowing how you're nourishing. And I love the things that you put out, Naomi, especially Naomi's Home Health. If you have not checked that out, you have to get there and download her recipes because I make them. I really do.
She sends me photos.
Say, I made this and it was wonderful.
I think your favourite must be the pecan.
Yes, I was just going to say that. And the cauliflower and bacon soup. Yeah. Anyway, so I digress because I'm a foodie. Hence why I think my ass represents that. But anyway, so when we go into mindset and we look at the language, and believe me, like, we are so subconsciously programmed to associate meaning from babies that I still find myself really like I will be in a conversation and I will go, no, wait, let me reword that. How many times do I do that, Naomi? Like, I'm always stopping myself because I'm so acutely aware now that everything that is happening for me right now, which is why my motto is live in the now, because you can't change what's happened in the past. It's done. But you can decide and choose what you do in your future. And so now when I am making statements, if I can feel the conditioning coming out of my mouth, and I will go, no, hang on a minute, let me rephrase that. It's like, I don't want debt. And you get more debt. So now I'm focused on, I'm so grateful for all the beautiful things that are coming into my life. And with everything that is happening right now, I literally had a conversation before I jumped on here and said, I am so grateful that I am in my home. I'm so grateful that I have my bathroom to shower in. I'm so grateful for my kitchen, and I'm so grateful. Gratitude is just as powerful as love. And so when we're talking about health and mindset, when you have a gratitude mindset, you're already in manifestation of something positive, because gratitude helps you to really get perspective. You know, there are so many people out there at the moment that are sitting in such unrest with everything that's happening, and change is a part of life. We change every day. 7 o'clock today is not the same as 7 o'clock yesterday. Yeah. You know, who you are now is, you know, the version of you yesterday or even last week no longer exists. So you get to choose everything that happens. And so where you are right now is something that you have already manifested, because manifestation is simply physical reality. It's what you've brought in and made a reality. So you have more control mentally. You have the control of free will to be able to choose your destiny and call in what you desire and be in that space of receiving.
Yeah.
And when it comes, because you manifested it. And then you get to celebrate how good you are rather than how shit you are.
Yeah, exactly. Look, I know when I started with gratitude, I actually looked back at my health. Like, people say to me, oh, it must have been so hard, or, you know, talk about when I was sick, and it's like, I'm so grateful now. Like, I wasn't at the time because it felt like shit. Yeah. But now I'm like, look what I've learned. Look who I can help.
Yes.
Look, I'm healthier now than ever. Like, my kids are growing up knowing true health. Like, I was always fit and I ate pretty well, but now when I look back, I'm like, well, I didn't eat as good as I should have, and I used toxic products, and I didn't de-stress, and I didn't do all the things that snowballed to make it.
Yeah.
I just thought that, well, I was fit, so that's all right then, you know.
Yeah.
And now I look back and go, I'm so grateful, because I've learned it's going to prolong my life in the end by being healthy, and it's helping my children, because the world today is super unhealthy. And this is why we have so many problems. I look at people and they say, I'm healthy, you know, I shouldn't get sick. And it's like, you're actually not. You don't even understand what health is, to be honest. And, you know, the kids come home from school and say, this is what we learned in health today. And I'm like, oh my God. Like when Jay said to me, Mum, in health, we learn that a Milo bar, if you don't know what a Milo bar is, it's a chocolate
malt thing,
is healthier than an apple because it's got less sugar in it. And I was like, hang on a minute. Wait, you learned this at school? Like, and he goes, oh, I told the teacher, you know, that an apple is way better than a Milo bar. My mum would never let me eat a Milo bar. And I was like, just because, like, there are different sugars, and there's no nutrients in a Milo bar. There's nutrients, vitamins, minerals, hydration in an apple. The sugar content is not the same as a sugar content, like fake, horrible processed sugar, as opposed to natural, nourishing sugars. And it broke my heart that was what they're teaching. And the other thing I saw, which I shared a post on on Naomi's Home Health page, was people are sharing a survey on Ask Your Kids about COVID, and it said, ask your kid how they can protect themselves from COVID. And it was hand sanitizer, mask, stay away from people. And I was like, so nothing, not one mention from these children of healthy eating, fresh air, vitamin D, all the things we should be doing first and foremost. I'm not saying you can't do the other things. Hand sanitizer is toxic. Do not even get me started on that. Yeah. But everything else that they're asking us to do, whatever, that's part of what we're doing right now. But before that should come looking after your body. Yeah. So if those measurements don't work, we have our own defense mechanism, and we're not learning that at school. And it's like, so
I think that we live in a world where information is so readily available to us that we are overloaded and overwhelmed with all of our options. It's like being in a lolly shop and being told we can have 5 lollies and we have no idea which lolly to pick. Okay. One of the things that I love about what you do in this group, and I don't comment on everything, but I do see what you're doing in this group, and that is the education. Because I think that, knowledge is not power unless you understand why you have the knowledge. And that comes from experience. And so I think that with everyone that is in this group, they've come from a place of experience to seek more knowledge. And I love that you research like you do. And I love how you are passionate about what you do. Because I think that when you can develop a passion, you create results for yourself because you are focused on the journey of getting the result. And that's one of the things that I really love and admire about you. And it quite inspires me because I'm not 100% with my health either. I mean, I'm probably one of your worst patients, really.
I don't know about
that. I've got it here. But the thing is that, I think that it's like anything too, though. You have to experience something. I always say that you can have compassion, but true empathy comes from the experience. I know for me that, in the work that I do, when I'm working in the capacity of a medium and a psychic, I get the benefit of receiving messages and feelings and things like that I haven't experienced. And so in that space, when I'm delivering those sorts of messages, because the difference between a psychic and a medium is a psychic works with energy that is your energy connecting with someone else's energy, and the messages are exchanged that way. When you're working with spirit, it's a very different vibration, and it's about delivering messages, not interpreting them for yourself. So when we're working in psychic energy, our ego can kick in there as well. I just want to preface that ego is not negative. It's given a very bad rap.
Yeah.
But effectively, ego is there to protect us based on our conditioning and our experiences, and it will step in to keep us safe from what we fear. But what we know is that fear is false evidence appearing real. And so therefore it's actually not real. It's in our imagination, and our ego works to make that fear a reality so we can stay safe. But what about when we flip it and the ego becomes the motivation and the drive to achieve results? Now with the fear comes an insecurity, and within all of us is a strength and a courage that can always overcome fear. It's a mindset thing. It's about coming back to, what do I really desire to feel strong in? And if your health is something you desire to feel strong in, then you will find a way to be strong every time. So when we have experience, and you have experienced this journey, Nate, So when we have experience, we then have the ability to have compassion because we understand and we can empathize. And when we look at it from that perspective, and I know everyone in this group is coming from a space of experience, whether it's positive or negative, they're still coming from a place of experience. Being in this group, you've attracted Naomi into your life as much as you've attracted this group and she's attracted you, because that's what we do. We put out an energy that we call in what we desire to have as a resource to achieve the things that we desire to achieve. And so where you are on that journey is not a matter of being measured as such. It's a matter of being acknowledged so you can work on that and work in it and work from it.
Yeah, I agree totally. I see different grades where people are, I can see where people are at in their journey. So there are people who say to me, I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful I found this group. Thank you for all that you share. And then I'll get people who say, oh, you're selling stuff or you're doing this. And it's like, if you know me, I'm sharing it with you because it works bloody great and it's done something for me. And if you want to take that on board, that's fantastic. But I'm sharing all of this for free. I work really hard in this group for free. And, you know, so you see where people are in their journey. They're still in that space.
Fear, lack and scarcity.
Fear, lack and scarcity. And then you've got people who maybe don't interact or don't acknowledge or don't even see anything. And then you've got the people who are interacting, who are grateful, who acknowledge what I'm sharing. And yeah, there's just those levels of where people are at. And they don't probably realize, maybe these people realize, but these people are not realizing that their negativity, putting whatever that is onto me that you might not like about what's in this group, that nobody's forcing you to be in here.
Yeah, but here's the thing too, and this is something that I have really come to understand as well, is that when I see people who are sitting in that fear, lack and scarcity, most of the time they're really scared, you know? And I just want to premise something about energy and money, because the thing is, this is your group, and yes, you do deliver a shit ton of value for free, okay? But money is simply an energy, and it really comes down to the difference on whether you should invest or spend, really. And I know for me, on my journey, I was born with the ability to be acutely aware psychically and vibrationally have the ability to connect with spirit. And many years ago, I was told that I should never profit from my abilities. Now, for many years, I was not charging in accordance for my experience, my knowledge, my wisdom, in my qualifications and everything that I had earned for a start. Then with my abilities, I was told that they were a gift, and you give a gift away. So I developed this program inside of myself that I can't make money from my abilities. And my husband challenged that. He said to me, hang on a minute, if you were born with these abilities, how is that any different to a carpenter who can build a house, or a lawyer who can argue the law, or a doctor who can treat the sick, or, you know, whoever else has abilities? It's just an ability.
Yeah, you developed your ability and they developed theirs.
That's right. And so what I realized is that a lot of the way that we think, particularly around money, and the way that we manage our finances and the way that we invest or spend it will relate back to our conditioning or our programming. Now, since I have changed that program of I deserve everything I receive because I work smart, I give value, I work from my heart space, I am passionate about what I do, and I ensure that the people I work with change their lives, then what I charge isn't enough. So I deserve everything. Everything that I am willing to receive comes because I have put in the energy and I have contributed. So when I hear stories like people saying, oh, you're just selling stuff, this is your group.
Yeah.
You've created this group. And if you want to sell something to somebody, why is sales such a negative thing? If you're going to give somebody something that will, help them change their lives, then it's about them seeing it as an investment in themselves. I've invested thousands and thousands of money in courses and coaching and mentoring, and so much money has been invested in me becoming who I am today. And so when I think you look at it, when you are spending something, you are seeing it as a waste. And if you have a spending mentality, then really you need to be in another group.
Yeah, and you notice in all my posts and lives, I say invest. I always use the word invest in your health, because for me, it was an investment because it improved my life.
Absolutely.
So
every time I've gone in with the mindset of investment leads to growth. And so every time I've gone in with the mindset of, no, this is an investment, 100% of the time it pays off.
Yeah.
It might not pay off how I expect it will, but I know it will always pay off, So I think that, if we're talking about people being in the group and offering things that cost money, well, I'm not sure about the difference between investing in a loaf of bread for a sandwich or investing in a product that is going to help your health and your well-being, which is going to make you a better person because you're going to feel better. And when you feel better, you're going to become more productive. And if you're more productive, then you're going to manifest more things into your life. So when you break it down, an investment of, say, $100 can turn into a lifetime of millions. I'm throwing in the $100.
Yeah. And I'm always like, whatever, like, I'll try it.
Yeah.
And I feel like, I've done the groundwork for a lot of people. Like, I have invested in other things that ended up being spending because they were rubbish.
Yeah.
So the ones that I share are investments for me. And, if you give it time, it will be an investment for you. But it's never about money for me with my health. People buy a coffee every day, people buy a bottle of wine without a thought, without a consideration of the $20. And if you add it up over the weeks, how much are you spending on those two things that give you no nutritional value, no benefit to your life? Like if your TV broke tomorrow, you'd find $1,000 or whatever it is for your TV. All these things we can find money for, knickknacks, little things online that we really don't need.
Yeah.
If you wrote a list of things that you've purchased in the last 3 months, you could probably cut out half of them.
Yeah. Look, I've amazed myself. I have absolutely amazed myself with what I can manifest when I truly desire a result.
Yeah.
And what I will do to achieve it.
Yeah.
Am I perfect at that? Absolutely not. Please don't think I sit on the perch. It's not about that. But what I do achieve, I am a very, very successful woman, and it's not all about my bank balance. It's about all of the things that I have chosen to achieve in my life that I have achieved and proven to myself beyond anyone else, because I think we also seek validation and approval outside of ourselves when the true validation and approval comes from inside ourselves. And the more that we acknowledge and validate and approve of ourselves, the less we give a shit about what other people think as well. And so I am a big believer now that when people throw negative shit at me, it's actually not about me. It's a projection from them of what they're experiencing. And when I sit in that position where you've been before, Nay, I sit in that position of compassion, because I really step back and think, I've done that projection too. Yeah. I've been that asshole that has pointed my finger to somebody else when it should have been pointing here. And I think that that's where we get triggered too. And I used to get triggered when people would point their fingers at me, because they would take me back to where I was, not where I am now. And the trigger was actually me letting that happen, rather than sitting in my truth and acknowledging how far I've come, staying anchored in my purpose and following my passion and being in a balance of force and flow has helped me to get to where I am today.
Yeah.
I've still got a long way to go, and I've still got a lot of lessons to learn, and I'm still expanding continuously. But the three main things that we have to invest is time, energy, and money. And so I look at, how am I investing my time? What is the return I desire to achieve from that or receive from that? How am I investing my energy? Because, we give our power away continuously. So I'm not about not giving. I'm about finding the balance of giving and receiving, because there are powerful people out there that I want to receive from too. So it's not all about me giving everybody what I've got. It's about, what have you got for me?
Yeah, exactly.
And ultimately, what sits in all of us is, what's in it for me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree. Yeah, no, I when I do find those comments that I get, it's like, you're more than welcome to go. I have no attachment to it now. It might have upset me before because I know why I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Why I share these things, but now I just say, you're not part of my tribe. You're not in alignment with me. What I'm doing. You obviously haven't watched me. Who a lot of people in this group know. We don't know each other.
Yeah.
But we know each other. They know me.
I think it's about alignment too. And I know that in my business, I've had hard times. There have been times where I've literally had $6 in the bank, so to speak. And I've had someone come to me for a particular service that I offer, but they want to tell me how that's got to be given to them. And I've actually turned them away with $6 in the bank, because I won't step out of my alignment for anyone. And I think when you've got that amount of anchoring within yourself, it allows you to be open to so much more. Yeah. And I shit myself when I did that, but it just didn't feel good. Yeah. So it was like, I can't compromise my integrity, and I can't compromise, what I have worked so diligently to create, for the sake of giving somebody what they think they want, when I know I've got to give them what they do actually need, so that they can turn that into a space of desire. So it's that fine line, but I would much rather have $6 in the bank and eat, hot chips, which is not always healthy, I know, but still nice. Food, right? But I would rather sit in that space than not be in alignment, because I think that when you're in alignment, you get clarity, and from that clarity, you get to make decisions that will actually help you.
Yeah.
And so with the education that you're providing, I want to champion you to just keep doing you, because when you just keep doing you, people might not understand immediately. They're here for a reason. They're at all their own levels of their own journey, and it's not about right or wrong or who's better or worse or any of that. It's about where you are in that space for you, and acknowledging that even baby steps climb mountains. Just take the baby step,
Yeah. And I feel where people are at, and I know I've been in those places, and now, the positivity that I have and the gratitude is so much better. I have much more balance in my life. I'm attracting so much more. The energy, all of that just creates this energy and vitality in you, and you can handle the situations that get thrown at you a lot better. Like,
I think the other thing too, Naomi, like I know that in working the way that I do, I'm more an energy worker than a psychic spiritual worker. I'm more an energy worker. And for me, spirituality is simply a spirit evolving as a human being, right? And so what I noticed was a lot of spiritual bypassing goes on. And I've even done it myself. I own that. I have, in my journey, I've been a spiritual bypasser. But what I know is that we don't gain positivity from just being positive. We gain positivity by owning something that's negative and working with it too. And so when we are in a negative space, or we feel defeated, or we feel like we've failed, rather than see that as a reflection and try and be positive, understand what that taught us on the journey, because the positivity comes out of the realization of the growth as well. It's not just about being positive and all hocus pocus, I'm in focus bullshit. It's about going, right, shit, that was painful, or oh man, I didn't like that, but hang on a minute, what does this mean for me?
Yeah.
How do I get to learn from this? Because I know that every time I'm triggered, every time I've got the shits, every time something's frustrating me, or I'm feeling challenged and I'm feeling weak, and I have felt weak. I mean, how many times have I rung you and gone, I feel like shit? But what I know is that when I step into that space of why am I shitty? You know, and I recently have had health issues myself, and I actually said to my husband, I don't want to be this person anymore. And he's like, I quite like the person you are. And I said, yeah, but I want to be better with my health. I want to be better with my view on the world, and I want to understand how I got to be here. And what I realized was how I got to be there was not owning my shit, or not owning the lesson I needed to learn, carrying a weight that wasn't mine, you know, absorbing energy that isn't mine. So even when you are aware, your human still has growth, and your spirit needs to expand.
Yeah, it's never an accident when you get sick. It's never something that it's accidentally happened to you, or it's always something you've done or you've brought in. How you've treated your body, or what's happened, or energetic, so many different reasons, and everyone has a different reason why they're sick. There could be 10 reasons, there could be one, but it's always something that's happened, and it's never just, oh well, my body just gave up on me, my body's just attacking itself. It doesn't. Your body wants to heal. Your body wants to take all the tools you give it and go, yes, thank you, and I'm going to fix you, and it's a signal, and we're probably getting signals long before we even feel them or acknowledge them. It's going like this, you know. First it's just giving you a little like, hey, and you're going, piss off, and then it's like, hey,
you're stuck on plan A. Like, can we move to plan?
Knocking on the door until it's like boom, and then you're like, oh, hang on, I think something's wrong. Where it's like, hey, I was telling you this 2 years ago, and I see it all the time. People, you know, might just be like, oh, I've got a bit of indigestion, but that's okay. I get that. No, you don't.
And we become conditioned to the ailment too.
We become conditioned to popping a pill in there. It's temporary. It goes away for the hour or whatever it is. It's not actually resolving the problem of why you've got that issue. So we're masking everything all the time, and the same with feelings, and the same with, it's not just a symptom that we're masking, whether it be bloating or whatever. You know, I was great at masking how I felt and not talking about feelings and all that. So all of those things, and it's like, it becomes like a volcano. It's just bubbling here inside, ready to come to the surface and explode. And people say to me all the time, I'm not really suffering with my thyroid. And I'm like, you know, don't expect that it's going to be like this forever. You know, you could. I'm not saying it's not, but don't think that it can't just at one point, whether it be a stressful event might trigger it, or you know, you keep eating that same food that is not good for you, or you are getting some symptoms that you're ignoring, that pain in your hand, the you know, constipation.
I think the other thing too, now being in menopause as well, I think that you know, as we grow and evolve, our cell makeup changes. You know, it's that every 7 years cycles and different things like that. And I've noticed that since going into menopause, I can no longer eat some of the foods that I could eat when I was in my 20s. You know, I don't know that I'm gluten intolerant as such. Well, I probably am. So I've avoided gluten products now because I've listened to my body. And do I stop them altogether? No, you know what? I love spaghetti bolognese. Right? But the thing is that I think your body does tell you, and as you grow and change and shift, you are not the same person. The person that you were last week no longer exists. So you have to work with what you've got. And I think so many people get stuck in plan A instead of going, okay, something's changed. What's plan B look like?
Yeah.
And then plan B changes. So what does plan C look like? And then that changes. So just keep going with what your body is showing you, because I know that sitting in that space of menopause, I'm so grateful I don't get periods anymore because I really hated that. But being in menopause is like being pregnant without a baby. And that's a whole different type of hormonal shift, mental shift, emotional shift. And I don't know that I could write a book on menopause. I can really only speak into my own experience, but I know that I've relied on you a lot more since.
Yeah.
And I think that's because you have that knowledge around that. And even though you haven't experienced menopause, your research is taking you to understand it.
Yeah.
And that's how you get to provide the education and the service that you do, and why you can sit in that space of calling in the monetary exchange for what you're delivering. Because I think that, you know, being in menopause, I think I've relied more on the knowledge and the wisdom of people who have done research like you have. And I've got a couple of girlfriends who are in menopause as well. So where you give me one aspect, I see it from another angle from them too. And it's not about who's right or wrong or better or worse with advice, because it all comes together.
Yeah.
It really does.
I find too that people resist change so much. They still want to eat the bread that they enjoyed when they were 10, or they still want to do the things that they were doing 2 years ago. Like, who doesn't want to eat bread? Come on.
Oh, I still love ice cream though.
Yeah, I'm not an ice cream fan, but I'm a cheese and bread fan. I freaking love that. Yeah. But sometimes we can't have what we want in that way. But maybe if we did some things to help support our body, eventually we can have some of those things some of the time.
Yeah.
So if we keep having it every day, you know, I mean, bread really isn't great for you. It's marketed as it is, but it isn't actually. Well, but, you know, I think sometimes we actually have to stop and go, you know what, this no longer serves me. Yeah. And I need to change what I'm doing in order to feel better, because some people go, oh, well, I love it so much. And I'm like, but it doesn't love you. Yeah. So sometimes you just got to suck it up and put your big girl pants on and change what you're doing.
Well, one of my colleagues, who also is an inflammation specialist as well, she was relating her experience with me, and she was saying that she couldn't eat watermelon and honeydew melon and cantaloupe and things like that, because every time she ate it, it made her really sick. And so she then realized through her own research and whatnot, well, hang on a minute, this has changed now. And so because it had changed, and her being in menopause as well, like everything magnifies when you go into menopause. Don't wish it on yourself, because I thought it'd be great when I got there. No, it's a whole different ball game again. But you know, I'm in the middle of it now, so I'm sort of getting used to it. And I think again, it's change. But what she was saying was that when she realized that it wasn't actually the watermelon or the honeydew melon, it was her body that was rejecting it. And so what she did was, you know, dived into what the problem was there, worked with that, made the changes necessary, and now she can eat it.
Yeah, peel back the layers.
Yes. And I think that health is a mental journey.
Yeah. You know, with something like watermelon too, you should only really eat it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
It is so easily digested that if you eat it after lunch, after dinner, it just ferments on top of your food. It's trying to digest really quickly, but it can't, because you've got other food you're still trying to digest. So you're going to eat something like those things. So, you know, just learning when to eat the watermelon.
Yeah, it's like having, you know, boiled water or hot water and lemon juice first thing in the morning, because that, you know, so I think it's also about timing as well. But again, people resist change. And I'm the biggest one that, like, hello. The biggest challenge that Naomi has had with me is helping me on my change.
Yeah.
So, because I'm a catalyst for everybody else, but I still have my own lessons to learn.
Yeah.
And that's a really big thing.
You get there in the end.
I'm getting there, you know.
You do get there.
Now.
But sometimes it's like, oh, for God's sake, Lana, will you just listen to it?
Yeah, just stop. Anyway, you know, that's a whole other conversation. We could be here for 2 hours on that one, just my job. But what I will say is when we come back to our original reason of having this conversation, it's all a mindset thing. It really is. How you choose to view the world is based on what we call your free will. And I know that in working with, you know, with anyone that I work with on whatever level, I have to always account for their free will, because your free will is what determines the mindset that you live with. And your free will can live with the conditioned mindset of, sure, white bread's great for me, even though I'm bloating and I feel like shit. Or your free will can go, you know what? I've heard this information. I've looked into it for myself. I've researched. Naomi's brought it up in this group. Maybe I should not eat white bread anymore. It's that simple.
Yeah.
But your free will makes decisions in the now, and it made decisions in the past. So it can make decisions for your future too.
Exactly. Yes, but I think we've been on here for about an hour.
Yeah.
So we were aiming for half an hour, but
but
that's okay. I think we got a lot of information for everybody, because it is a very important topic that we do forget about and we do ignore.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I just wanted to introduce you because you know, you can help some people in that way. And if they want to go and follow, you know, Lana F. Jackson and see what she does, because I think you need to include it in part of your healing journey. It's like, you know, something that I still dive into. Everyone's going to have a mentor. You need someone. You're most of the time, your parents, your partner, your children, your friends don't really understand what you're going through. And it's about helping not worry about that, because I had to stop worrying about who gave a shit about what was wrong with me or whatever, and just have me worry about it and work on it. And, you know, after you do become, just start to feel better, people do start to acknowledge, okay, she wasn't really feeling that great because she looks heaps better now and she seems better. But it's more about you getting into that space of how can I get there one step at a time from today, instead of going into 3 months and trying to live in 3 months' time.
Yeah, I think what I have learned, and you have been a contributor in this learning, is your health is your journey. And your mindset contributes to the way your journey pans out. And so, you know, if you want to contact me, I'm a member in this group. Just hit me a DM, and you can contact me that way. I'm in the process of redoing all of my website, branding, all of that. So it's all kind of sitting in the, you know, under construction space, because I've just moved into new ways of doing things. I had to change. So the thing I did, you know, like the way I was working in the past wasn't as effective and efficient anymore. You've got to move with the times.
Yeah.
So if I can leave anyone with that, it's your health is your journey, and your journey will determine your health. So you know, I can help you to understand that, and I compliment Naomi in many ways with the way that I work, which is why we have worked together the way we have over the years, because I think that where you have a strength and someone else has a challenge, you can be the contributor and give them some of that strength to overcome their challenge. And we've really done that for each other over the years. Totally. And so I love that, you know, we've got to be in our lives for the way that we have. And it's such an honor to be here in your space, and for you to share me and for you to share everyone with me. So I want to say thank you. Thank you
for joining
I'm
us.
so grateful. You know, I love you and I
Yes.
love you and I respect you. And I think you do a fucking amazing job because I haven't said fuck the whole time.
We did.
And it's a verb, a noun, and an adjective, and it sits in mindset quite a bit.
It does. But yeah, so contact Lana, personally, health-wise, business, because she does help me with my business mentoring as well. So it's all of the above. And I know you'll get so much value out of her.
Yeah.
But
I think the health-wise, you go to the expert, Naomi's the
mindset for the health.
Yeah.
I'll tell you about the health, and I'll tell you how you can tell them how to,
how to listen to you more.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good one. All right. Well, thanks for joining.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Bye.